Hello to all my classes. I don't know how this recording is going to turn out. I'm on a train to Frankfurt, Germany right now. I left Sweden this morning. This is a very rocky recording, so we'll see if this even works out. What I just want to say is I plan on doing a lot of grading right now, and even though I've been doing a lot of traveling, at some point I'm going to be in Thailand and I'm going to be staying there for a while, and I will be spending a lot of time on my classes. I should be able to respond very quickly, and I'm trying my best now to also keep up on top of things for you. So this isn't a vacation for me, and I don't expect you guys to, I don't want you to feel that because I'm traveling right now that you're like on the back burner. Mainly I just have to find the right kind of situations to be alone and get work done. I think that's going to happen more when I get a much more stable environment for a while in Thailand. But it was exciting for me yesterday, just to say that I went to Sweden. I went to this village that my great-great-grandfather was from, and I was pretty excited about that. And he and my great-great-grandmother, I stayed in an area of Sweden that they're from, a very uneventful part of Sweden. I hope to show you the videos. It's kind of wild, man. It's so wild. Nothing's going on over there. 6 o'clock shutting down. But in any case, they ended up moving to Turlock, California, and there was a lot of Swedes that came there, and I wanted to just see what this journey would look like, and I thought a lot about the topic of immigration. There's the topic of the refugee crisis is big here in Europe. In fact, my mind is really blown away. I've had very serious, intense conversations about politics and history in Copenhagen. In that case, I will admit that the Danish are like, they drink like Vikings. Dear God, wow, had to survive that one. It was fun, but and anyhow, so there was Copenhagen, and then I went to very sober Sweden, where I didn't have any alcohol, just tea and very calm, wonderful conversations with my more conservative. And I'm going to make a comment on that in a second about conservative in Europe, whatever that means. A hostess, the innkeeper, she ended up being a great help for me in conversation. And she had a lot of thoughts about what's going on in the world, Europe and America. And then I just had this long ride, several hours, on several transfers of trains from Copenhagen with a German doctor who lives in the UK. And he had this very long discussion with me on the medical system, the way that they're different in different parts of Europe, and comparing it to the United States. And my God, right now my mind is just so blown away. I want to be able, I wish I could have took you guys on this journey with me and just see how wonderful the world is, but how complex. And what I realized, I knew this already conceptually, but especially right now as I'm going through Europe, people just don't understand America. And what I mean by they don't understand America, it's like this: we don't understand Europe and the world because we actually just don't. We don't know their systems. We don't understand. That's a generalization, but I think that's fair. That's fair. That's a fair generalization. They don't understand is many of them have been to America several times and they watch what's going on and they don't understand like that. And what I want to try to do is I don't want to shove, I really like to make sure my classes don't shove a particular political agenda down your throat. And as I've been talking to people, what I just want to say is that while Europeans will tend to talk about left wing and right wing, it really doesn't compare to what we're at. Like, American politics is like off the grid. If somebody talks about being conservative or liberal or left in Europe, it's just a whole other discussion. And they think that we're quite silly for thinking that socialism is ruining the world, or that they have a socialist system. Maybe later I want to do a whole discussion on that. Not like to shove a particular point of view, but to give you an idea why. I mean, the whole joke, Fox News put out a report comparing Denmark to Venezuela, which is having an economic crisis. There's another article I saw today where the girl Alejandra Cortez, I forget her middle name, but she's running on the Bernie Sanders kind of politics, and somebody from Cuba said, our family fled socialism to come to America, comparing the Bernie Sanders style of politics that's being carried on by some other politicians as the socialism of Cuba. And every European I've met is talking about this. I don't even almost have to bring it up, and they're laughing at us, and they think that's ridiculous, and it's kind of fake news. Now, it's another debate whether those systems are good or not, or they'd work in the United States or not. Fair enough. But it's just the way that our news portrays things. What's also interesting is literally almost everybody that I've talked to doesn't get our obsession with guns. I think that's very interesting, right? Because we have the Second Amendment and this idea about freedom and guns. And the Europeans think this is the craziest thing about us. So that's one thing that I don't even have to bring it up. It's like they're always just like, you guys are crazy, you in your guns. So far, universally, I don't know. I mean, again, this is anecdotal information. I don't know what I'm working with. Everybody hates Trump and thinks he's ruining the world. But they have a little different take. The people that I've talked to, obviously, he must have supporters out here, people. But the issue is that Europe, with this refugee crisis, whether people are accepting it or not, it is pretty. There's a lot here. That's a fact. And the issue about whether people can get along or work things out with that factor. There's what happened with the UK and Brexit, which some of you may not even understand this topic, and the whole stability of the EU. And I realize that many of my students here may not even understand what that means. Europe feels very fragile, and I think that they're feeling like American politics are helping stir up their politics falling apart as well. Steve Bannon, who did work for Trump, is going through Europe right now, basically trying to support all of their ultra-nationalist parties and trying to basically encourage a breakup of European political structures. So here's an American he's not coming under the guidance of Trump, but I mean, he's someone that came from, that was once working for him, and is now stirring up division within Europe, and that's bothering them. What was interesting to me was what one of the guys from Denmark said, is they're also upset that the fact that Trump and Putin, that he has a positive look at Putin, he feels like it's emboldened Putin, and that I guess Russia has sent some warplanes into the airspace of Sweden. But now part of this is that Sweden has talked about joining NATO. And again, this might be confusing. My point that I want to make is that Europe is so close to each other. I mean, Russia is very close to Sweden. The Swedes know that they could get invaded, actually, by Russia. It's different than like the United States getting worried about someone sending thousands of planes over or ships to try to get into someone else's country, to our country. And I talked to this guy, this German doctor, and his dad was a Nazi, and he said his dad was actually a democratic socialist at first, but he felt like the whole political system was helpless, and that Hitler was a strong man, and that Germany, that he was the one guy that could get Germany going together. And then his dad basically said, I messed up, that was the wrong choice. And his dad ended up being a prisoner of war by the Americans. And he's actually very happy that he got captured by the Americans, because the Russians and the French, I guess, were treating German POWs much harsher. And he felt like America looked like the 1920s and 30s in Germany. That was his comment. Now, I'm not trying to say this to, again, promote something, but these are the kind of things that people are talking about here. And I don't know, it's weird, it's surreal. it's surreal. And I'm just trying to absorb it, take it all in. Certainly, as I look at a divided America, Europe is dividing as well. And I've seen so many beautiful things, but it's also like I'm being reminded that, I'm going through places where World War II took place. These people experienced bombs, and their parents participated in these things that we read in history books in a way that's a little different than how the story goes in the United States. The soldiers that came back had the stories and they told them or they didn't. But the people here lived them, just like the people of the Middle East are living these terrible wars now. So I don't know, it's just, there's a lot to reflect, and I hope I'm not rambling too much, and I hope that you are just seeing me just kind of giving a voice, kind of like a journalist, to just some of the things that I'm experiencing and I'm hearing from other people. So I hope you're having a great day, and I'm looking forward to a beer in Germany. Actually, my friend promised me that we could drink a beer in a castle. Maybe not tonight, but I hope she's right, because that sounds pretty epic to me. And as long as I can drink beer in castles, I'm thinking life's pretty good, right? Anyhow, we'll be in touch.